What is up, party person? I have something special for you today. If you're doing coaching, consulting, anything like that, if you're a marketer and you're not making the amount of money or impact that you want to, it's because of the one reason that I'm going to share with you and how to get over it today. And it's basically a principle of what I have called and coined Mouthmatics, the art of knowing what to say. A lot of people, I have talked with thousands, like thousands and thousands of people. I've done over 3,000 one-to-one sales on my own. And here's one of the biggest things consumers say, like your customers, your potential prospects. It's that most salespeople today, they feel they communicate at them rather than with them. All right, so I'm telling you, when you start applying the principles of Mouthmatics, like your customers will see you this makes you important in the eyes of other people. This positions you as someone worth listening to, worth investing their attention in. Why is that? Well, if we look at humanity today at its core, things have gotten sophisticated. People are aware of all the sales tactics and gimmicks because of people like Hormoz, whoever, just making all this shit known to most people. So humans know what to expect. They know you're trying to sell them something, and so we have to position and frame and posture ourselves very differently. But here's the thing, people crave a good story, good communication. So when you start framing things to the lens of Mouthmatics, when you start applying this, please understand, people are going to feel communicated with rather than talked at or talked to. Okay? And so this is all about entering the dialogue that is already happening in their brain. Like what are the stories, the biases that they are telling themselves, that they are viewing their model, their impoverished model of reality through? Because most people, how do they walk around feeling? Distracted, not good enough, unconfident, not heard, not seen, not recognized, not like it's all this stuff compounding on them, and they're infinitely distracted. They don't want to feel that stuff, and so what do? Turn on Netflix. Let me go to prawnhub.com. It's a cesspit. It doesn't help when politicians and school systems are furthering the divide between different classes and categories of people, because like it or not, that there are categories, there are classes. Like in perception is reality. If people think there is a middle class, there is a middle class. Whether you and I subjectively agree with that. Like it's not subjective, it's an objective reality. People perceive it to be true, therefore it is. Perception is reality. And so rather than talking at your customers, rather than trying to sell to them, we are going to sell with them. We are going to frame things in a way that get them to come to their own logical conclusions. How do we do that? We say the right things in the right order. More importantly, we ask the right questions in a specific way. And we think, what is the purpose of this communication? What do I need them to think? What do I need them to feel? All right? Like, what is the objective of what I am saying, and how can I phrase it in a way that gets them to come to that conclusion themselves? And this is way harder than most people think. There was a lecture back in a college. I can't remember the year, but there was a lecture in a college, and this guy was dipping, he had alcohol, and he put, in a clear glass, he put alcohol in there. This is basically the equivalent. And he put a worm in it, and the worm, just squiggled around in the vodka, whatever it was. And then he put like 190 proof, like rubbing alcohol. He put the worm in the thing, and the worm completely disintegrated. And he started surveying the audience. He goes, well, what did you guys learn from that? And one guy raised his hand, and he said, well, if I drink alcohol, it'll get rid of all the worms in my stomach. And what? Like, you and I understand the point, the lecturer, the presenter was trying to make with that. It's like the effects of alcohol, the damaging effect, like what it does to what it does to organisms, your micro, all this crazy stuff. And this guy completely misinterpreted it. So how do we make sure our message is landing? How do we make sure our stuff resonates with the person and gets them to think what we need them to think? Because people will reject what they are told. They will fight it vehemently if you give them advice. If you position it as a suggestion, hey, have you tried this? Yeah, I have. And they'll run back and they're like, oh, that was actually really great. They'll make them, they will think it was their own idea. Simply from changing, hey, this is advice to, hey, this, have you tried this? Hey, have you thought about doing it this way? Rather than me telling you what to do, have you thought about using Mouthmatics? Like, have you thought about reframing your questions in a way that gets them to come to their own conclusions? Because people will never doubt what they themselves conclude, okay? Like, anything I tell you is nowhere near as influential as anything that you tell yourself. Whether it's true or not, whether it's damaging or not, whether it's even helpful or not. Because you came to that conclusion, it's infinitely more persuasive than anything I could ever say. And that, if that's true about you and I, which it is, it's also true, like that right there, what I just said was true, you might reject that vehemently, and I'm aware of that, which I'm going to address it. That's another thing. Your people are not clean slates. Understand they have their own beliefs. They have been programmed. They have been indoctrinated to a certain belief pattern or a certain story around stuff like this, what they deem is true or not true, good or bad. It's this morality filter. It's confirmation and recency bias. It's all these bugs in our brain that get us to think in certain ways. And we always come to the same conclusions in those thought patterns. Okay? So how can we either interrupt their programming or introduce conflicting or seemingly paradoxical, unorthodox ideas that are counterintuitive to what they are naturally hearing? All right? So that's the basis for most of the stuff that I'm doing and now teaching new on this channel. I've been in insurance for forever, which, if you want the best sales experience in the world, go sell a product that everyone hates and judges simply because their mom and dad or grandpa told them it was a scam. If you don't know what the word scam means, it's an acronym for still confused about money. All right? That's what that acronym stands for. Scam. Insurance is a scam. There's only two types of people when it comes to insurance. Those who need it and those who are glad they have it. That's it. It's kind of like scuba diving. One of the first jokes my instructor told me, he's like, which type of diver are you? Because there's two types of scuba divers, the ones that piss in their wetsuits and the ones that lie about it. He says, which one are you? And I didn't understand what he meant until, like, I went to the bathroom before I was diving on, I went to the Keys, and there was a shipwreck out there, and it was 100-something foot down, and I had just pissed twice before I went and scuba dived down. And it's complete pitch black. It's nighttime. I'm shining my flashlight. There's a huge grouper, like a Goliath grouper, probably eyes, half the size of this Celsius can. It's a big ass fish, and I shine my light, and I just see its eye about 5 foot away from him, like, oh. And I'm down there about 80 foot though, and I'm like, oh my god, like I gotta piss again already. You see the way, if I were to take this Coke can, or this energy drink can, down to the ocean floor, it would crumble at about 60, 70 foot. It would just start slowly shrinking and collapsing on itself because of the atmospheric pressure. And so it starts compressing you in your rib cage, and you're like, that's why it's so, if you hold your breath underwater like past 60 foot, you will pop your lungs. You will pop them. Okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't hold your breath like that. That's stupid. But anyways, that reminded me of that. So there's two types of people when it comes to insurance, just like there's two types of scuba divers. Ones that piss in their wetsuits and ones that lie about it. I'm happily the one that, hey, I pee in my wetsuit. It's natural. If you've ever been scuba diving, you know exactly what I mean. Like, back to the Mouthmatics. This is the art of knowing what to say and how to say it, my friend. All right? Like, when you start using this stuff, your people will think that you are important because you are the only... Here's why this is so important. If you don't believe me, feel free to reject it. That doesn't apply. Most people feel talked at rather than talked with. And because you are the only person who can pierce that veil, who can actually land a connection, like establish rapport, know, like, and trust factors, familiarity. Like, you build a relationship with these people, and you don't just become interesting, you become fascinating to these people. Like, wow, he made me feel acknowledged. Wow, he made me feel needed. Wow, he made me feel powerful. Okay? Because that is what people crave. People crave it. All right? Especially in today's world. It's a seemingly hopeless situation. If you can sprinkle a dash of Hope, like that guy sprinkles his salt. People will move mountains for you, my dear friend. And so I'm telling you, when you start applying Mouthmatics and these communication principles, like one, you will become way more articulate. You will be able to get a message across, and your people will love you. All right? We like it or we're in the guru area. People don't just buy Tony Robbins stuff because he's a great salesperson. People buy Tony Robbins because of the relationship they think they have with him in their head, the stories that they tell. Like, how do you know if you're building connections with your customers? If they're going around telling your stories to other people. That's how you know. All right? And if they really like you, they'll tell their story that relates to yours. So, hope this helps. If your message or anything like that isn't converting, it's probably because you're not using this. So, let me know what you want more of in terms of communication and articulate, anything like that. If you don't know how to phrase questions, if you don't know how to reframe, all these linguistic tools, I'll be making more videos like this in the near and dear future. So be sure to subscribe. That way you don't miss anything. Hit that bell because, yeah, that's why. But anyways, love you all. Keep being awesome. Happy hustling. I will see you on the next video.